Nope. I did not think so soon. Everybody was water walking. Bum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, bum, bum. I'm so close to be able to fly. I cannot wait. You, you, come here. Rough. And nobody has the ring. How dare they? Come here, kitty, 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 kitty. Meow. Hulk smash. Oh, I messed up. Lost spawn diseases. That's really bad when you say like that. When you don't have the context of Death Knight. You know, just saying. Sounds very not good. Are you serious? These guys are actually doing damage to me. I might actually die. Stay tuned to find out on the next episode of Bantu Ball Z. Brought to you by Parkeku. Oh gosh, I'm a little silly. Just a wee bit. I'm just gonna AoE all you guys down. You can't stop me. I can't stop me. Where's that dang ring at? Let's grab an 8. This is a slow night. Me, these bad guys gotta kill. Get over here. How many teleports I haven't used yet? Nope. Got good stuff. Man, I put this shit on my tongue earlier, like for real. Just. Hello. This guy's pickaxing. What exactly? Skip the face. I'm actually turn the sound effects off. They do some kind of weird when you're just doing combat all the time, getting smacked around. Smack my bitch up. It's kind of weird though. Thinking no sounds even weirder. But we turn music on. See what happens, Captain? Is that about it? Damn. How about this? Turn sound on, but so like maybe like that. I don't have to hear myself getting like molested every 5 seconds.
You need something? Safe travels.
It's not too bad now. Man, my tongue hurts so bad. It's not even funny. Alright, what am I doing with this lady? I didn't even pay attention. Engineering a disaster. Okay, so I guess it's like a escort quest, if you will. Well, let's watch your look. Bam. This lady's walking through fire and flames like Sephiroth. I don't know if I should trust them. Getting not a good time to cross signal. This one. You're gonna make fun, aren't you? She started leaving me alone too. Like, fuck that guy. He sucks. You shouldn't play with the stuff. Someone could get hurt. I can't really do a female's voice, so this is what you guys get. Gotta take some hits like a champ. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. He's not loving it. I am feeling a little bit warm and tipsy. I've had like one baby shot. Like a baby. Alright, where we going, crazy lady? Where are we going?
Good day to you.
No, good day to you, man. Okay. Hello. Hulk smash. Hey, I got the ring! Huzzah! All according to plan. What do we do now, coach? Like how it's complete and then I instantly aggro. Like, yeah, you did the thing and now she leaves you. It's by this guy on her own. She's like, bye, bitch! We didn't agree to this. These are not the terms and conditions I agreed to. Let's see. So it's quite. Ooh, Kidoki, that's gonna hurt. I'm okay. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep on surviving. Or something like that. Then we go way the heck down here. That guy's dead, isn't he? No, he's fine. He's just asleep upside down with a thing tied to his crotch. That's a crotch. What do you call it? Crotch shoot. Crotch shoot. Like a parachute, but with your crotch. Something David Carradine was into, I guess. The big bitch. I'm not gonna reply. They wouldn't get my joke anyways. Dude asks, is anybody doing heroics? And I'm not 80 yet, right? So I was gonna say, I can tell you what I'm not doing. Heroics. But that'd be kind of a dick thing to say, right? Right? Ah, okay. I gotta kill a motherfucker. Sorry, Poochie. Or Kitty. I just wasted a cooldown on nothing. I just like destroyed this dude already. Alright. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm on a horsey. Kinda wish I could mod it to be like, you know, every now and then, just like bum ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum bum. How's it go? How does like High Silver go? I can't remember. Jethro Tull, I think, is the artist. Can't remember.
How are you? Have a good one.
Oh, that's it? No follow-ups? How dare you? It's like so warm in this place. Or maybe that's the whiskey talking. Probably whiskey. Alright, what am I doing? Going way off course. That's what I'm doing. 'Cause I'm a baddie. That's what baddies do. Oh, I can't wait to fly. I'm so jealous of all those dudes that can. They see me running, they're chasing, trying to eat my booty. Hello, Miss Meow Meow. I love 70. What the hell are they doing here? That's
Open your
weird.
heart to the light.
I'll do no such thing. You don't know me. That's my purse. Let's see. That's a lot of crit on a pair of boots. That's hit, but spell power. Boots it is.
See you around.
What can I do for you?
You can do nothing but give me EXP. Woofy woofies.
Hey,
Hey. Do I have a flight path now? No. Shit.
you have a great day now.
I was like, yay, have a flight path. He's like, no, there's more. There's always more. Alright. Kind of keep them just for the sheer amount of agility and crit I get. Let's see, for example, where's my crit at? Melee crit. Almost 14%. With this, it is 15.41 or 51. So, a 1.5% chance. Plus, yeah.
Be careful.
Alright, 1 second. I go take out these fucking ants. It's warm, dude. It's getting warm in here. I'm gonna take off all my clothes. Hey, little girl. Is meow what you say, little girl? Daddy wants to cuddle you. He's like meow. Meow. Well, let's fix you. Let's make it so you're not cuddled in a weird angle. There we go. You happy now, little girl? Is that what you wanted? You just want cuddles? Baby? Baby. Girlfriend, hi. 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 Oh, yeah? Come on. You come hang out with me when you want to cuddle again, okay? Alrighty. So, there's that. Hey, no, no. One shot. Two shots. One. Two. I can't do the couch voice. Alright. It's easy. Getting a bit closer. Let's go. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Is there not another quest here yet? Lost it.
What's on your mind?
You're on my mind. Alright. Let's see where we're going. Back to where I came from. She's mad. I cuddled her for like 5 seconds. She's like, this is not enough. Never enough. I desire more cuddles. Ooh, I'm getting some weird lag on this shit. No way. I bet you because out of add-ons, yeah. That makes sense. Like literally using like 0 CPU resources or GPU. This old ass game. I had to stream the music. Ah, I suck. Can't touch this. Except for you, you can gotta touch this. He's gonna be pissed. I'm like slowing him constantly, can't catch me. I'm like a frost mage with melee capabilities. Yeah, look, gather around, children. We're or not we're, you're dying. Come on. A hilly? A hilly. Hills for fills. And I'm done? Nope, I gotta kill somebody. Somebody's gonna die. Meat pie? I'm killing a meat pie apparently. I'm sure meat pie deserves it. I mean, how do you get the name meat pie? Unless you eat everybody's meat pie. Where is it? It's not this guy. Seriously, where the hell is it? Further down, I guess? There he is. You guys are welcome. I didn't mean to do that, but I'll take it. That guy's like, wait, what the fuck did you just do? He literally watched me kill all of them. Oh, that's funny. Like, this guy's a badass. Better not fuck with this dude. Oh, Junior? Dang. Y'all can't catch me. Catch me if you can. Whoa. Courthouse. Man, I'm ready to ding already.
Light embrace you. Be kind to those less fortunate.
I'm grabbing by the dinghy.
Can I help you? Off and away.
Huzzah, I now have a flight path. Come on, motherfucker. There we go.
Can I help you? See you later.
You can help me by not talking.
Well met.
Hell yeah, brother.
How are you? Be good.
Alright. So what am I doing? Did it say everything killing kitty cats? Hi, Phoebe. Hi. You know for your cuddles? Come here. Come here, Phoebe. Come on. Phoebe. Come on. No. You can't run away every time I try to pet you. Little girl. Hey, no. Phoebe. It's not for you to play with, sorry. Hi, little girl. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Hey, seriously, stop. I try to pet you, but you just want to play. Sorry, you have an old fat fuck as a father. I ain't much for playing. Wait. What? I should probably abandon some question die. Abandon. Abandon. Oh, I've done everything but one thing. That sucks. That's like the worst. That one's giving me adventure supplies too. See you on the side one. No tenku. I do want to do the dungeon, however. Just because extra EXPs. Meh. Meh. I just ban all these actually. This is bad to ban things that have like North End supplies. I think it's random. Pretty sure. Alright then. What am I supposed to do with these? So I literally just kill. Oh, a bastard. I'm just really killing wildlife. They don't have anything. You just gotta kill them. Fine, don't worry about it. Don't think about it. You don't even think about it, dude. To quote that one podcast guy. Damn, dude. Hi, Phoebe. Meow. Hi. Hey, that the bitch dead. Alrighty. Yeah, dig it. There we go. Took way too long. Hey, buddy. Let's get over here. It's lasagna. Yeah, it feels like shit not listening to anything, you know? Like, nobody's talking to me, I have nothing else going on. Fuck me. I don't know what to do, man. I don't do very well with silence. I keep hoping every time I stream that somebody will come hang out for like a little bit, just chill. But nobody does, man. God damn. Oh shit. Oh shit. Fucking hell. That is, that's getting posted to the Dragon Ball Z group. How the fuck did I discover this area? Wait, over there in the corner? What? Hmm. 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 I don't know about it, man. This water don't do it, I'm leaving. Alright, we are going back the way we came. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Sango, what do you have a name? Is it a rare? It's not a rare. Huh. Weird. Bastard stole my ride. These fucking murderers are killing everything. Shit. Shit, it's the wrong button. I'm a murderer, murderer on the kitty cat. And I've been kitty cat like there's never been any kitty cat before. This is a kitty cat, I'll tell you what. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. So I need you to aggro me. Thank you. You got blue. Huh. backfire spectacularly. As with most things in my life. I'm getting sleepy.
What I expect here is that it would have been a total failure, but it's just going to be forgettable. Welcome back to the news, everyone. Today we've got a few really interesting stories for you. We've got punks, we've got pirates, we've got police arrests, and of course laughing at Ubisoft, because that's just the way of things. To get things started then, Matt, let's talk about Cyberpunk. So, you'll have seen our video on Cyberpunk recently. We do, though, have some pretty damn incredible numbers that are showing the Edge Runner effect, which really is just like what happened with, you know, with Witcher 3. So as we knew, the game was getting around like its most concurrency since its launch. And of course, of Edge Runners and the Edge Runners update. Well, we've now got updated sales information. So the game had 8 million pre-orders before launch. It hit 13 million sales by the end of December 2020. The December 2021 financial report revealed it had reached 18 million, and now, as of the end of September, it has hit 20 million. And the thing is, when we're talking about numbers like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 million, we're just like, oh yeah, you know, it's one more, it's two more. And then you remember the amount of zeros. So a move from 18 million to 20 million is a lot of sales. It is more sales than the vast majority of video games even get. And I suppose it would have been nice if we got more of a granular view at how many of these sales would have been clustered around the anime. But certainly paying attention to the news, between the update, the anime, it just created a positive story. And I think that's just meant this like positive feedback cycle that has got more people willing to pick up the game.
Yeah, and completely makes sense. But for a bit of context, 20 million is also what Horizon Zero Dawn, that was the last major milestone it broke after releasing on PC. So it's very much like, you know how well like Sony loved that IP and like absolutely extols virtues and praises. market successes, that is a hell of a lot. That is a substantial amount of sales overall. Although it is interesting, you'd expect to be bigger, but even then, if that is driving, because they say over 20 million, even if that is driving an extra like 2 mil, that's so much revenue. Especially as the game's like not tanked in price substantially. Like you'd imagine with all of the like Witcher kind of making its waves after the TV show, there's a lot of really deep discounts on that for like buying it on PC and stuff like that. Especially even like the full collection was cheap enough. So in that case of they've completely succeeded with this in a way that is kind of makes sense, right? Makes sense with every time anyone else does it just kind of works. So they've sold that.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Personally, I cannot wait to see what the Red mod tools are going to do when that comes out next year. I think that's going to be... Well, again, actually, it's funny. Andrew Wilson talking about the whole time on brand correlates the money spent. It doesn't necessarily matter if we make the content or users make the content. Obviously, this is not a free-to-play Nightmare Escape game, but the fundamental point whenever it comes to user-generated content is there. So I'd love to see the creativity people come out with. All right, so this is a story of East and West working together. And funny enough, we have another such story in the form of Wild Hearts, which is Electronic Arts deciding, hey, Monster Hunter, let's do that. So they're working with Koei Tecmo Omega Force. They've announced Wild Hearts, which is going to be coming out February 17th.
Yeah, that's going to be out before a certain game we'll talk about in a little bit. But that's a crazy thing where, like, I genuinely didn't believe this when it happened. EA and Omega Force are working together on a game. Because if you're not aware, Omega Force is the people behind basically all of the Warriors games, right? All of the Dynasty Warriors, the Muso games as they're called. And there's this kind of crazy idea of, people are like, Warriors game, Monster Hunter? But they also have this series that they released 2 games and then a remaster of the first, Tokiden, which are basically like, they weren't quite full Monster Hunter in the same sense, but there's a lot of similarities. They were you, couple people against a big enemy. So they have like their chops there.
Now the pitch for the game is of course quite simple, right? It is action-based gameplay, dashing, jumping, grappling. Grappling's fun, sliding. Thematically, we're more like sort of technology versus the natural world. Yeah, it is what it is. I think it's one of those games, honestly, where you look at the gameplay trailer, you'll instantly know if it is for you. And I think for a lot of people, they're instantly going to see that it is for them. I think the creature designs are really cool. I think we probably won't perhaps have the polish that Capcom were able to achieve with Monster Hunter World and stuff like that, just given how absolutely goddamn incredible that game looks. But this is another entry. It's another game like that. We're all eating a little bit better. It is kind of funny though, EA just doing a game like this, I suppose similar to how FromSoft and Activision got together to do Sekiro. You're like, oh yeah, you just did that, and it was super successful.
Yeah, it's really easy to forget that one because it was so on left field in Activision. But that didn't seem like an Activision game, right? So people are kind of hoping this is the same here, where it's just, oh, Omega Force are going to make a Tokiden game, and EA are like, you guys making Monster Hunter? We want in on that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And then they throw a load of money at them.
And to be honest, I think as gamers, this is a lot of what we would really like to see, Because what do these publishers have? They have capital, right? What is their job? It is to efficiently allocate that capital into development. Now, obviously, as time went on in the industry, I think things got more and more and more first party, right? More first party for a while, more on first party owned platforms because it's just far more financially efficient to sell your PC game in Origin than it is in Steam. But we're kind of seeing that swing back round. And for all of us, we look at this sort of thing and we think, okay, so Electronic Arts has this many developers, it has this technology, it'll do its own thing. If the EA Originals label is able to get more funding within the organization and then intelligently spend that by scouting out really good games from large independent studios, then that does open up a whole, you could maybe say AA or whatever, it does open up this whole kind of wide world of games.
How much does it cost? 1,000?
Often not the sorts of
950.
games like Mega used to.
Oh,
Because it has all just turned into
I don't know
big,
about that.
recurring spend tentpole titles.
Yeah, that's why I'm happy with this being an EA original labeled game as opposed to an EA game, because I would expect EA to try to get some of the live service, because that's what they want, right? They always talk about wanting that kind of thing. But this is an EA Originals, and what EA Originals has had success in very recently is, I think, of everything, it's It Takes Two.
Yeah.
It Takes Two. Literally, the EA Originals label got a Game of the Year winner. And the people that is like, oh, hell yeah. There's stuff like Unravel as well. There's Rocket Arena, which didn't go so well. There's Knockout City, which is trucking along just about okay. So there's a little bit of mixture in terms of how the games have turned out. But you go to
But Overwatches instead.
Taste.
Someone say something.
Taste the future.
Okay, whatever.
Are you proud to be a ding-dong dummy?
I ain't no dummy. I'm a man who is very smart here. I just need a little side money, that's all.
You're nothing more than a sandwich delivery device.
Who is talking in here? I'm tired of it.
It is I, the Brood Rap.
Ugh, raps. Raps are for pussies.
I've been rebranding for vegetarians. But once, I was 6 solid feet of meat sheets. Now I'm made of tofu creamed in the bean genes of the underworld. Sliced beets nourished in the soil enriched from the decomposing corpses of fondlers and fornicators. Pickled in the urine of 1,000 incontinent calico cats. And slathered in savory tzatziki sauce. The ejaculate of 1,000 orangutan masturbating to a myriad monoliths from space.
How is it legal you call yourself vegan and then you be filled with like monkey spunk? That's definitely an animal byproduct.
We lied about what it is, about what I truly am. Hummus made from squeezing the demonic pus of the infected backs of deadites, rolled in a tortilla from the peeled skin of a rabid jackal. And did I say Chipotle? I meant chiggers for that extra south of the border kick. And jackfruit, which tastes like shit even to hippies who pretend to love it. All served on a bed of evil and lettuce. Bed of evil and lettuce.
I noticed you didn't mention sun-dried.
No sun-dried tomatoes this time. A lesson has been learned.
Well, I think you forgot one other ingredient. Fresh oyster, no half shell.
No, don't do that. Wait, no.
Jersey style.
Why would you do that? That's so gross.
Cause I ain't nobody's ding-dong dummy.
Ah, ding-dong dummy! You have arrived with my rations. Put the wrap on the porch and back away. I don't want your germs on it.
Fucking gig economy.
Hold on. Let me get your tip. Here, hot change. Get away, it's hot. Ah! Payday! Your money's all over the street, dummy!
Yeah, I'll come back when it cools.
Where you going? There's at least 45 cents there. You give me my satisfaction. Frylock, you want a wrap?
Nah, man, I don't care for raps.
Me wide.
What's your made
The ejaculate of 1,000 orangutan masturbate.
No, thank you. That don't sound good to me.
Oh, damn. Anybody want this change?
I'm getting it. Ah! Ah, God! Why would you make it this hot?
What? Okay, that's weird. It was worth looking at.
Megaforce should go, hey, we've got EA money, and it's not going to be, you know, hundreds of millions of EA money, but it's probably going to be more money than Omega Force have like seen outside of them working on Hyrule Warriors and I can't remember the Fire Emblem also. Fire Emblem, no, Heroes is the gacha game. It doesn't matter, but I think it's just Fire Emblem Warriors. But the thing about that is, there's another studio that worked pretty closely on like titles with Nintendo and did support work for them, and then whenever they were told, hey,
What brings
do you
you
wanna
here?
make your own game? They showed up and they were just like
Some
fully
gold.
just
Jesus
such a glow
Christ.
up in terms of what they went from to what they were able to do, and that was Monolith Soft with the Xenoblade Chronicles games. And everyone goes, "Oh yeah, you're the Breath of the Wild and Smash Ultimate support studio," and they just drop Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah, I'm not flying there like this.
Some people disagree, but this is one of the best RPGs in like a hell of a long time.
And if you do
And this-
disagree with that, don't announce your publisher shortly after.
Yeah, but
People will
that's,
still feel it. Dunk woke the dragon.
yeah. So there's this whole thing now where you've got Omega Force with EA money, and they're not going to be able to compete with Monster Hunter, like blow for blow. That's not going to happen. However, this is likely going to be if not a great game, a hell of a good game, because the token in games certainly stood up as like solid 7s. So that, with a bit of money, bit of stuff, you're like, hey, good game, sweet.
Like, hey, if you want to get your tax bill down by just spending more money, this is a pretty awesome way to do it.
Yep, sure is.
Right? So, you know what? To Activision doing Sekiro, to them doing Wild Hearts, fuck yeah, that's exactly what we want to see. Of course, the sad thing with Activision is it was kind of just Sekiro, and it kind of would have been nice if their vast quantity of capital went into more and more games. But it is what it is. That said, though, you can play this in February. You would have expected to have been able to, as I know you do, spend hundreds of hours playing Skull and Bones before that. But no, you'll in fact have to wait until March the 9th, because Skull and Bones, the humongous and Ubisoft original disaster, has been delayed from November 8th, 2022 to March 9th, 2023. This is a game that, I mean, holy shit, it has been in development hell since like shortly after, around the time of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. They kept on changing it, going through creative, like, you know, going through creative staff, going through game directors, all chaos at the Ubisoft studio. I think it ended up with the Singaporean government giving them a little bit of a look at. Now, a lot of people expected worse things to be found, and I don't think nothing relevant to the point of Singapore stepping in seems to have been found, but generally it's been a studio with quite a lot of rumbly news. We covered Skull and Bones, I think initially the summer of last year. Shortly after that, I think one of the developers from that team reached out to us in email, and it was just like, yeah, you know, kind of a little bit of an anecdote to a lot of that stuff that did support the issues. So overall what happened then is this game, I believe it was like leaked super shortly ahead of the reveal. Then the reveal happened. People looked at the reveal and thought, this is just seemingly significantly worse than what Rare have been able to do with Sea of Thieves. Yeah, it maybe has a more photoreal art style, which some people will like more, and that's fair enough, but it didn't really seem to have the combat depth. The progression seemed to be highly uninspired.
Let's see. Let me go back to Twitter and listen to what that is probably saying.
Well, I'm here. I'm here to see bros. We almost didn't get in. Woo! Well, I'm here. I'm here to see.
To be honest, my view of what I saw was, so you've got the assets, you've got the systems, you've just quickly designed a progression loop, and you're just going to go wham, bam, done. Let's just do this and do something else afterwards. That's kind of what I felt. It just is a game that, well, you know what certainly looked like it was in development hell. So for them to have all this development hell, then feel confident enough to announce November 9th, only to then have to delay it by like 5 months, that does not point to good things. In my head, I have to imagine this is the sort of situation where Ubisoft management thought, all right, that's grand, let's go ahead, let's do that, and perhaps staff on the ground were just screaming internally. Obviously, I can't prove any of that, but this definitely stinks.
I mean, that's the thing. Everything from Ubisoft is like, until they have a really successful release that isn't Assassin's Creed Valhalla, everyone will just assume the worst. And this is from, like, this is a game that comes from their darkest era. Like, their darkest history of this is where we made the worst shit that no one wants to play. And that's the thing you're going to run into whenever you, like, you've got these really long projects and really long delayed projects. Because what are you going to do? Restart it? You can't do that. You can certainly revamp it, but you can't restart it. Which means they are just sitting on this, what is effectively a turd. And they're just like, how far can you polish this? The answer is probably not far enough. Because everyone will know what it is under the surface.
Yeah.
And you can't get around that. And you also can't really cancel it because you need to make your money back on it. And you also probably can't cancel it because then the Singaporean government will be like, where'd all the money go that we give you to subsidize this? What are you doing? That'd probably put them in like actual serious trouble. So I sat there and I'm like, I guess we'll delay it a little bit. But it's that thing of, strategically, if you want to release this game, you can't go toe to toe with any other game.
Yes.
Not at full price. Not when you're like not confident in it. You have to just go, if we release now, we will sink. No pun intended. We will not be able to survive against all of the other people in this market. We're not going to be able to beat, like, given the market they're probably aiming for with a full release like this. That's very kind of, hey, play on a pirate ship. It's not exactly super core gamer stuff. It's very much.
I'm bored of this. Alrighty. I need something else to listen to game nerd wise.
Hi, I'm Hazel. It's Saturday today, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, but I have been up to and answer some of your questions. This week, we finally got a release date for Dragonflight. It's going to be launching on November the 28th at 3 p.m. Pacific. Here is a lovely graphic that Blizzard put out, putting out the global release time. Everybody will get access to Dragonflight at the same time. You can look on the map and find out what time it will be for you. So mark your calendars or request your time off if you do that sort of thing. It is worth noting that at this point, we do not yet have a confirmed date for pre-patch. There's lots of spicy rumors. You can make a pretty good guess based on the release date, but Blizzard has not come out and committed to a pre-patch date yet. So there's that. It's a little curious with the announcement launched, but I'm assuming that we'll get a pre-patch date soon because that includes like some deadlines that they've told us about. A lot of people would like to know when they can expect Season 4 to end, for example. Related to the mystery pre-patch date and coming soon, they've also announced that they are doing a experience bonus running up to pre-patch. So Winds of Wisdom is coming back. There will be a big 50% experience buff starting the week of October 4th with your region's weekly reset, and lasting until Evokers come out, quote, during the pre-patch. They don't say with the launch of pre-patch, they say during the pre-patch, which is kind of interesting. They are bringing the buff back so that people can level characters to 60 in preparation for Dragonflight, although I, at least personally, would certainly prefer to level after the pre-patch comes out with the new talents. Perhaps that's just me. Also in pre-patch, Chromie time is going to go all the way to 60, whereas currently you still have to do Shadowlands.
Violence and nerd shit.
60, although it will certainly go much faster with Winds of Wisdom. Other dates to look out for: the raid, Vault of the Incarnates, is going to launch on December the 12th, and for the first time they are releasing Mythic difficulty at the same time as Normal and Heroic. They are all starting that same reset. LFR will still roll out after. There's the full schedule calendar here. And the Creation Catalyst, now called the Inspiration Catalyst, and then in future expansions they might just call it the Catalyst. They talk about how they've decided to really keep this feature as long as they have tier. Is going to be available again, but not until 6 weeks after the raid opens. So there will be a Catalyst, but not right away.
I just like really got
6 weeks
hard.
after December the 12th would put it late January. Other notes in that post, we found out that there will be no more necrotic or inspiring affixes in the Mythic Plus of Dragonflight. There will be one new affix that replaces those. We don't know what that is yet, but it's a win for the tank that didn't want to have to deal with necrotic. Personally, I think that Spiteful is still my least favorite affix, and I have no excuses. I'm enranged. It just feels very personal when I get hit by one because I know it's my fault, but I'm not happy about it. Our next topic to cover today is a doozy, and it's the death of personal loot, something that I don't think any of us saw coming. They've talked in the past about wanting to bring more control over loot distribution to groups in Dragonflight and how that's something they're thinking about. And this is what they're doing. So there is no personal loot in raids in at least the first tier of Dragonflight, and instead we are moving to this new upgraded need before greed system. It's group loot. Not exactly like it was before, but very much like it was before when you had the need and the greed buttons. Loot trading restrictions are completely gone with this new version of the system, so even winning an item that you needed on will not soulbind it to you until you equip it. So that means that guild groups that want to can basically approximate master loot by having everybody except for the master looter pass in an item. The master looter gets it, and then they can choose to pass out that loot however they see fit, so groups that want to master loot and everybody agrees on it can certainly do so. Main spec rolls will win over off spec rolls, even if they both roll need, and your loot spec will determine whether it's a main spec or off spec item for you. It is a bit smarter than the system used to be. And you cannot roll for something that your class cannot wear. So it's not like there's no griefing opportunities with this, but there are not as many as people initially feared upon hearing the news that Need for Speed was back. The way I see it, and maybe I need some more time for this to kind of like cook in my brain, there's like two big main differences between this new version of group loot and our old version of personal loot. The first thing being that it is more visually clear and transparent who you are rolling against, whereas in personal loot, the game would decide to give loot to a couple of people. It could give somebody else in the group an item that you needed as an upgrade, even though it's only transmog for them. And they could have kept it and not given it to you, and that's a situation that has happened before in personal loot, and could continue to happen in group loot. There's still that situation that other people in the group might win your loot, but it's a little bit more friction-inducing, chaos-inducing perhaps, when you can see in the chat who is rolling against you for an item, and then you can like go inspect them and be like, hey, I needed that more, but you know, you gotta work that out amongst yourselves. The other big difference between personal loot and group loot, aside from the transparency of it and the problems that might cause, is that they generate loot differently. So personal loot would generate loot for the raid based on who was in the raid. So it would create items that people in the raid could use. And it would create different amounts of different types of items depending on the group or comp that was present. So that led to things like armor type stacking, where a raid would bring a group of nothing but plates so that they would generate a ton of extra plate loot and funnel it to people that specifically needed it. It wasn't like a super widespread practice, but it was definitely something that happened, especially in top-end guilds that were gearing up. By comparison, this new version of group loot just generates loot randomly the same way that it used to back in the day. The boss has a loot table, it's going to drop some stuff off the loot table. It's no guarantee that somebody in the group is going to be able to use the thing, but it also means that if you are the only like clothy in a raid filled with leather wares, you no longer have to fight pretty low odds of having the cloth piece drop, as all the leather wares like trade each other all of their stuff, because there's equal chances of everything off the loot table being dropped. This is both a good and a bad thing. A lot of people are rightfully concerned about the scenario where something drops that nobody needs. That certainly is going to happen. It's something that has happened in the past, and generally speaking, somebody either disenchants it or vendors it. I suppose maybe in the modern day, at least somebody might need it for transmog. You know, the druid can take the Agi dagger and learn the appearance or something. But those are the two, I think, major differences, is the transparency in the roles and the social problems that could cause, and the way that the loot is generated. And I think because of that second difference, you cannot have both systems exist at once. A lot of people were suggesting, why don't you just leave personal loot for pugs and then have group loot be an option for raids? But as long as they're generating loot differently, I think that having both systems exist as an option isn't going to work, because one of them is just going to end up being more efficient, and then the other one is kind of dead, and the people that might have preferred it are just totally out of luck. I think that this new loot system is an experiment that has a lot of capacity to cause problems, but loot has always kind of caused problems. There are years and years and years of feedback of people being really unhappy with personal loot, and I'm not saying that this is a perfect solution. I actually kind of liked personal loot, but I do think that it's at least a new setup to try that solves some problems while bringing up other ones, and hopefully they can learn from this, get some data, and then iterate on it and improve on it if there is major problems when it comes in Dragonflight, particularly in LFR, because this new group loot system is going to be in LFR, which is going to be fun and exciting. Even if it's the exact same amount of loot and the exact same chance to win a piece that you might have needed as you had before in personal loot, it's not gonna feel good unless you're the one winning the rolls. They are also doing some funky stuff with BOE drops in raids. They are making it so that they no longer drop from trash, but instead have a chance to drop from these named mini-bosses inside of the raid. You will be eligible to receive loot from those once per week per difficulty, just like with regular bosses, so there will be no more endless BOE farms. And the items themselves should be more valuable just because they're talking about putting kind of cool and unique and interesting stuff in these BOE loot tables. That's kind of interesting, and that's also going to function on the same need before greed system. And that could be kind of a mess, because I guess guilds and groups are going to have to work out for themselves whether or not somebody who wants to equip an item should take precedence over somebody who wants to sell it. Particularly if you're in a pug where people have no social ties to each other, and like no intention of continuing to raid together. That's something that each group will have to figure out for itself and hopefully communicate up front. They did backpedal a little bit and say that they will not be putting weapons in the BOE loot table right away, just to kind of reduce the initial chaos of the system. But overall, this whole thing is something that I feel like I just kind of need to play with for a patch, and then decide how angry I feel later. Angry is a weird word, but I think I just need to try it out and see how it works in practice and see whether or not it actually makes more like work for my group leader, or you know, if it makes it harder for regular people to get loot. Because there's a lot of words in the blue post, and I'm starting to feel like I'm not smart enough to figure it out. I'm smart. I'm just hungry. Speaking of raid, moving on into less controversial territory, tier set bonuses have been revealed. I guess that could be controversial if you don't like your tier set bonuses, but anyways, they posted them all at once in one gigantic mega post. I will link that in the description if you want to go look through it and find yours. It's interesting that those are coming up after raid testing is already well underway. You would have thought they would have wanted to have testable, usable tier in time for raid testing, so you could see how classes function with their tier in raid testing, but I think a lot of the set bonuses at least are pretty straightforward throughput gains, so maybe they don't need as much testing, but we'll see. And then in my life this week, I got my family exorcist finished, so I got my Spriggan Trickster, which was the last Shadowlands pet that I needed, so I am now fully done collecting Shadowlands pets, and I finished the Bound Shadehound grind, which apparently was quite a project. I did have fun finding a blue pen to write the runes on in my little desk notebook. I find myself increasingly living as though I'm in 2009, when I had a desk notebook that I would fill with that kind of thing. Here, you want to see my picture? Anyways, that was fun. And then also, I'm starting to get kind of excited about Dragonflight now that the release date is here. I feel like that made it feel more—
Poor lady. She likes to see a retail game. Let's go back to listen to how sorry this lady is for fucking old fucking video game.
Real in my head, and you know it's real when you're starting to think about your expansion launch grocery list. I'm not the only person that does that.
There you
You
are.
gotta have some easy but also
There you
like,
are.
nourishing meal options on hand. I am hungry. So that you can, you know, continue playing without having to worry about, man, I forgot to meal prep this week, right? Like,
Nope, that's not
I
normal.
haven't figured out what's on that grocery list yet, but it's something that I have some time to figure out still. And questions for this week, we got some good and pertinent pressing questions. Renita wants to know, will Pet Charms be changing when Dragonlance comes out? And I've answered this before, but I wanted to give an update because it's kind of a thing I'm keeping an eye on. And at this point, no, Pet Charms are not changing, or at the least they have not changed yet. That always still could change because beta, but at this point it would be a weird, rough thing for them to mess with, so I'd be very surprised if they changed pet charms. And by that I just mean like doing anything to convert polished pet charms or make a new pet charm currency. The way it stands on beta is that polished pet charms are being left alone. They are used as currency to buy new things in Dragonflight, and they are still available from previous sources, all the way back to BFA. You can go find like BFA Pet Battle World Quests on the Dragonflight beta, and they will still continue to offer polished pet charms. So I'm not expecting that to change at this point. If it does, I will talk about it, but I would be pretty surprised. It would be a weird thing to do now. Then Sebo Nivlak wants to know, I recall hearing that gray and white...
Yep, I don't care about your fucking bullshit. Alright, I'm done with you. I gave you a chance.
Into the wind, I won.
I didn't click on that.
For a long time, the exchange rate between the US dollar and the Chinese yuan, renminbi, remained below 7. It existed like a myth in the minds of the Chinese public and the outside world, but such a myth has recently been shattered. On September 15th, 2022, the US dollar exchange rate against the RMB broke through the psychological barrier of 7, and the depreciation accelerated after that. In less than 2 weeks, on September 28th, both the offshore and onshore US dollar against the renminbi fell below the mark of 7.2, setting a record low since 2020 and 2008, respectively. In reality, since late April 2022, the exchange rate of the US dollar against the RMB has been declining rapidly. Over the past year, the RMB has fallen by about 12%. The sharp depreciation of the RMB has led foreign investors to sell off A shares. The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, is annoyed with this. China's state news agency, Xinhua, said that the aggressive interest rate hike by the American Federal Reserve is a strategy chosen by the US after repeatedly weighing its calculations, with the intention of transferring the crisis outward through the hegemony of the American dollar, which essentially harms others and harms the world. It is also said that the world has been suffering from the US for a long time. Indeed, with the recent depreciation of non-US currencies across the board, the exchange rates of the euro, the pound, and the Japanese yen have all hit multi-year lows. However, what the world sees is that the RMB is struggling just like all other currencies, even though the CCP has a stronger grip on the market than most governments in the world. 6 years ago, in 2016, the RMB was under pressure to depreciate, with the USD RMB mid-price reaching 6.96 at one point. The Chinese Central Bank used large amounts of foreign exchange to halt the exchange rate before the 7 mark. On August 5th, 2019, the US dollar to RMB exchange rate broke the 7 mark, hitting a new 11-year low due to the impact of the then US-China trade war. The RMB then appreciated afterward, reaching 6.3 at one point. Therefore, for a long time, the market has formed an expectation that the RMB will stay at 7 and that China's central bank will use policy measures to keep the exchange rate stable below this figure. Once this threshold is breached, investors' expectations of future RMB depreciation may be heightened, causing foreign capital to withdraw at an accelerated rate, making it much more difficult to stabilize the exchange rate. On September 5th and 26th, China's central bank introduced 2 measures to stop the downward momentum of the RMB exchange rate. Both of these measures were aimed at curbing foreign exchange appreciation, raising the cost of shorting the RMB, and easing the pressure of RMB depreciation. However, it is now apparent that these 2 measures proved unsuccessful. After the RMB plunged on September 28th, 4 people familiar with the matter told Reuters on September 29th that China's central bank had asked major state-owned banks to prepare to sell dollars in the offshore market in a bid to step up efforts to curb the devaluation of the RMB. This strong message to defend the RMB from further decline has led to a slight recovery in the RMB exchange rate. Unfortunately, by September 30th, the RMB exchange rate continued to drop. So what led to the plunge in the RMB exchange rate? The first, of course, was the Federal Reserve's aggressive interest rate hike policy. The Fed has raised interest rates 5 times in 2022, totaling 300 basis points this year, in an effort to curb the worst inflation in over 40 years. After Fed officials released another signal to raise interest rates on September 27th, it immediately triggered market fears of a global recession, and the dollar index had surpassed 114 by September 28th, again hitting a new high in more than 20 years. With the renewed strength of the dollar index, the RMB exchange rate depreciated sharply. On top of that, there were multiple factors that have caused the RMB exchange rate to fall. China's central bank has had to cut interest rates several times in order to stimulate the economy. This has left an inverted differential in treasury rates between China and the US. Currently, there is an inversion of 100 basis points. This is due to the economic downturn in China and the further impact of the zero-COVID policy on the economy. At the same time, the external environment for the Beijing government has worsened, with the CCP forming an alliance with Russia in the context of its confrontation with international powers. It has also triggered war fears in the Taiwan Strait, etc., which in turn has recently led to a clear trend of foreign investment pulling out of the Chinese market. What does the fall in the RMB exchange rate mean for China? Here is what the official Chinese experts think. It is tenable to say that either rises or falls in foreign exchange rates are of advantages and disadvantages. It is wrong to say that any appreciation is good and any devaluation is bad. Specifically, the recent adjustment of the Chinese yuan exchange rate is obviously beneficial to market entities with foreign exchange incomes and foreign exchange assets, but may bring certain losses to those that have external payment needs or external liabilities. Is this really the case? Here we have borrowed the views of a China expert to provide you with some insights.
I'm probably about to quit streaming.
First of all, this hurts the CCP's image.
Nobody's want to hang out.
If calculated in American dollars,
It is what it is,
GDP and GDP per capita would be negative. Assuming China's economy grows by 3%, it becomes a 9% negative growth based on US dollars.
Jesus
It
Christ.
is a difficult task for the CCP propaganda department to glorify a negative figure, both domestically and internationally. In particular, for a long time, the propaganda department has been using so-called experts to hype that China's economy has surpassed that of the US. The sharp decline in GDP
It could be true,
makes
though.
it difficult for the propaganda
baby doll.
department to justify it
Hi,
in a
look,
favorable
you quit
light.
being weird about people touching your head, okay?
The second real and very serious problem is that it affects
If
investors'
you get any more whiskey, I gotta smack you away, because I'm pretty sure I'll kill you.
Investors will certainly consider the exchange rate risk when
Girlfriend.
planning to invest significantly
Come up here.
in mainland China.
Come on, go up
If
there.
expectations of a
There we
falling
go.
RMB take shape, investors will be more cautious.
You
For
jumped out
example,
anyways.
if one
Baby, how
invested
dare
their
you?
dollars in China a year ago and received a 5% capital gain when converting to RMB, only to now convert back to USD and receive 10% less, the loss outweighs the gain on this investment.
For the alliance.
Since 2018, when the trade war started between the US, China's Premier Li Keqiang has been talking about 6 stabilities and 6 guarantees. Among them are stabilizing expectations and protect market players. Today, the trade war is still ongoing and the outbreak is resurging in China. That's why Premier Li has been emphasizing the policy till today, because the expectation of the direction of the RMB greatly affects investors' decisions. The Wall Street Journal reported on September 15, 2022, that foreign investors reduced their holdings of Chinese bonds by another $5.1 billion in August, and that a total of more than 85 billion of Chinese bonds have been cut since February, equivalent to about 15% of holdings at the end of January 2022. Third, a falling RMB currency will bring inflation. China's economy is heavily dependent on foreign trade. It's the world's largest importer of oil, food, semiconductors, etc. A falling RMB equates to higher costs for domestic products, causing prices to rise. Fourth, a falling RMB means a big increase in the burden of expenditure. China now has $2.7 trillion in foreign debt, with most of the debt maturing this year and next. The fall in the RMB equates to a significant increase in the cost of debt repayment for Chinese companies and financial institutions. When it comes to foreign debt, Chinese government agencies and departments account for most of the debt. In particular, foreign debt issued by
killed Shingo.
provincial or municipal governments will be under enormous pressure.
This fucking game's stupid.
In an episode not long ago that from January to August 2022, local governments in China
Let me go look at his
are all in
poop.
deficit,
Okay.
except for Shanghai.
Here's some poop.
Revenues are already declining.
Okay,
and
there's
repaying
poop.
the dollar debt will
Here's some
require
poop.
12% more RMB to be
I
used
killed
in
him already,
the
though.
which makes things worse. Imagine if the RMB continues to fall. If the pressure reaches a certain level, will the economy be
Bruh.
crashing down? Of
Bruh.
course, Communist Party economists have assured the public that this isn't the case. China's trade structure in goods has been constantly optimized in parallel with the narrowing service trade deficit and further upgrading and development of service trade. China has maintained a basic surplus in the international balance of payments, such as the current account, which provided solid support for the stable operation of China's foreign exchange market and the stability of the RMB exchange rate. The reality is, since this summer, the CCP's official media has frequently published various articles criticizing the dollar hegemony and claiming that the US is using the dollar hegemony to deprive other countries of their wealth. Chinese foreign minister also denounced the US hegemony in New York in late September. Objectively speaking, for various historical and practical reasons, the American dollar is the dominant power in the global financial system. After World War II, the US became the world's largest economy. It has the greatest military power and political influence and plays a role in maintaining order around the world. But it's also the result of a liberal economic system that operates through market behavior with a relatively fair set of rules and systems. The dollar index has continued to strengthen in recent times. In addition to the Fed's interest rate hike, a war factor is involved. With the Russian war taking hold and even threatening to use nuclear weapons, global capital is running to the US for refuge, which is another factor for the dollar soaring. The reason for using the dollar in oil transactions in the Middle East, in addition to the US once buying the most oil, is that the US is the only force that can maintain peace in the Middle East. That is to say, behind the dominance of the American dollar, there is also the US military, the only one that can quickly project a powerful army globally. The Fed's interest rate hike will have an impact on the entire world economy. The Federal Reserve, of course, only considers the American interest, which is a fact that other countries cannot deny. Now the CCP is facing a big problem as the economy of mainland China and the major Western economies are having opposing demands. The US and other Western countries, in order to curb inflation, need to raise interest rates. China, on the other hand, has to choose to cut interest rates. The rapid economic depression caused by the extreme zero-COVID policy and the crisis brought about by the cooling of the real estate sector, especially the systemic financial and political risks now festering in the real estate sector, will drive Beijing to opt for more lenient monetary policy. The most obvious manifestation of China's real estate crisis is the emergence of massive numbers of rotten-tail buildings or unfinished buildings. Homeowners collectively refuse to pay their mortgages, and Beijing has yet to find a solution to this problem.
They're saying it's not easy for comic book to buy a house during their lifetime, so they have to fight for rights and interests, which is true here as well. It's hard for anybody to buy a house. Anybody to actually own it. They said, I put my life savings in this house. We were just your average farming folk. I can't pronounce this word, to buy such a house, and then it just rotted. And behind them you see like a house that wasn't fully built, they have some pipings like that, but it was never finished.
This problem, first of all, will affect property transactions and the government's credibility, right? and it could exacerbate the developer's debt problems. For example, if the developer cannot resume construction, it means that the developer is still in a very poor financial situation. If I am a home buyer, I will think, for example, if a developer has an unfinished rotten building in a certain place that has not been finished, I will not consider buying the apartment it is selling elsewhere, because that property may also have problems. This will further aggravate the debt problem of the real estate companies. Therefore, this issue, rotting houses, will have some bad effects for the economic level, the corporate level, the social level, and impact the expectations of home buyers.
Yes.
Meanwhile, consumption in China is very weak. Because consumer demand is weak and China's inflation rate is staying relatively low, China doesn't need to tighten its monetary policy significantly. Instead, it needs to cut interest rates to stimulate the economy and address the current high unemployment rate. Moreover, consumption and investment are weak among the so-called three driving forces of economic growth in China. Only exports are doing well. They are, however, facing fierce competition. The devaluation of the RMB may make Chinese products cheaper in overseas markets, which could help China's exports. Therefore, in mid-August this year, the Chinese central bank went against the international trend and cut the interest rate. It surprised the outside world at the time. At the same time, China's State Council announced a series of growth-enhancing policies, trying to boost the economic recovery by driving down the cost of capital.
It's expected that we can defer the tax payment of nearly 30 million yuan, and we have obtained nearly 80 million yuan in tax rebates, which relieves our financial pressure and ensures the normal operation of the company.
However, an interest rate cut would in turn lead to a fall in the RMB, a change in investor expectations, and a depreciation of assets.
Yeah,
if the
not good
Chinese
for them.
government follows the US in raising interest rates, it would be adding to the sluggish economic situation and things would get worse. Therefore, Beijing can be said to be stuck in a dilemma between managing the value of the RMB and stimulating economic growth. At present, Beijing has no good way to deal with the Federal Reserve except to criticize the dollar hegemony in a series of articles in the government media. If there is any special way to deal with it, it's that, compared to Western countries, Red China can resort to illegal and irregular administrative measures to manipulate the demands for the RMB and the dollar. For example, banning or delaying the exit of foreign currency for capital projects or restricting the use of foreign currency by Chinese individuals, preventing Chinese people from traveling abroad, etc. It is foreseeable that in the near future, fewer and fewer Chinese will be able to leave the country.
It's not
So,
good.
will the CCP sell trillions of dollars, as it did in 2014 and 2015, to stop the devaluation of its own currency? It's unlikely. This is because in 2014, China's foreign exchange reserves were as high as $4 trillion with high net reserves. But now, the total foreign exchange reserves are officially claimed to be $3 trillion, with net reserves of less than $400 billion. This is the official figure. We have analyzed in previous episodes that China's foreign exchange reserves are likely to be close to depletion. As we can see, the CCP is prepared to let the RMB slide slowly all the way down and won't be using heavy-handed and rigid measures to control the RMB exchange rate. This is because the CCP has another main objective, which is to internationalize the RMB, i.e. to gain widespread recognition and acceptance in the international market, with the ultimate goal of becoming an international settlement currency, input currency, and reserve currency. If there is a strong feeling in the outside world that the RMB is not freely convertible, then the idea of internationalization of the RMB won't work. However, the series of economic operations currently being carried out by the CCP seems to be going against the grain, showing an overtone of an increasingly planned economy. So in the long run, the RMB is definitely not looking optimistic, and the accelerated internationalization will probably end up being an empty wish. It can be said that it isn't the worst time for the RMB yet, because the CCP believes that the renminbi is still appreciating against other mainstream non-US currencies. The current RMB has not yet experienced a full-scale devaluation. In other words, the CCP believes there is still room for the RMB to continue depreciating. Such thinking on the part of China's central bank is also evident from its official media reports. On September 6th,
I don't need to listen to that. I'm good. Alright, at this point, I'm gonna quit streaming. It's been a boring stream. Nobody came by. I can't be very entertained. Nobody's talking. It is what it is. But, you know what? Hope you have a great night and a great day. Be safe and let nobody be mean to you. You don't deserve it.